talk us through your sort of, I guess, week as a Premier League referee from when you get your email on a Monday to when you leave the ground on a Saturday or Sunday or whenever that is.
Yeah, so your preparation basically starts. People think, there's this perception that refs rock up on a Saturday at 10 to 3 with your boots over your shoulder and annoy everyone for 90 minutes and then just go home and don't care. And it couldn't be further from the truth. Email comes at 4 o'clock on a Monday. For me, that's when the prep starts. I would contact my assistants, even if it was the same assistants I had every week, which, at the end of by the time I finished on the Premier League, it was. I would drop them a message, delighted to be working with you this week, blah, blah, blah. Within that message, I would say to pick either assistant. You choose the home team, the other one you choose the away team, and we've got a bank of matches and clips, and there's a load of things that refs can look at, stats and whatever, and basically tell them, do your homework this week. Let's see what we can find out from an assistant's point of view. Which player is going to be offside the most, which is the one that's going to, how do they overlap on the wings, which is obviously going to affect you as assistants. So they'd start doing their prep. Tuesday, I would look at the home team. I'd watch their previous home game, but I'd only watch the previous home game against a similar opponent. So if you're going to look at, take the Premier League now, if it was, who's bottom, Norwich? If it was Norwich that were playing at home against Aston Villa, they're going to approach that completely different to they would if they were playing a home game against Liverpool or Man City, because they're going to set up a lot more defensive in that. So I wouldn't watch their last home game if it was against Liverpool or Man City, because that would show me something different. I'd watch their last home game against a similar opponent.
Yeah.
The day after, I would watch the away team's last game against a similar opponent, but when they were away from home, because again they'll set up tactically different. The Thursday would be spent looking at set pieces. So I'd watch every single corner kick that the home team has attacked and defended that season, because one or two corners gives you nothing. Once you've looked at 50, 60, 70 corner kicks that they've defended or attacked, you know that they're zonal marking, you know whether they've got anyone on the post, you know who's going to attack that. And then even little silly things where the guy who's taking the corner puts one hand up or two hands up or bounces the ball twice. You've an idea where that's going to drop in the penalty area. So I would do that for both teams. And that can take a few hours, plotting them down on a little cut out bit of map. And it might sound silly. You can't go into a game thinking you know exactly what's going to happen as a ref. That's the danger. You can actually go in over-prepared, I think, in that sense. Because then when something happens that when he puts his two hands up and it goes a different place, then you've got to be able to react very quickly to that. You can't think, oh, well, this is what he's done 100 times. But we'd been naive not to do that. The away team won't turn up on the Saturday having not watched the home team.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you both teams will have done their homework on the ref. I've gone into one club, certainly with one particular manager, but it's happened on a few occasions, but certainly one I've gone in to have a look at the goalkeeper kits and whatever else before the game. And on the back wall is a big whiteboard. And on there, big names, big letter at the top, my name, Robert Madley, in brackets, call him Bobby. Underneath, the yellow cards I've had, what the yellow cards have been for. It says on there, we'll talk to you. So they've done the homework on the ref. It'd be naive for us not to do the homework on the teams. So, yeah, you can't go in and prejudge. I certainly don't do homework and say to the lads, right, who's going to be our first yellow card? You can't referee like that. I can't look, and even on reputation, which players will fall over a little bit easier than others in the penalty area, but you can't go in and prejudge that. You can be aware of it, but you can't prejudge. The moment you do that, then that's not, your integrity is gone as a referee then.
So you turn up to the ground then on a Saturday. What sort of time are you getting there? What's your preparation beforehand and stuff like that?
Yeah, I would generally go over. I mean, obviously we had the luxury of being professional. So on the Football League, League 1 and 2, so the guys who are refereeing at Northampton, they've all got jobs. They've all got their normal jobs. So Football League is tough in that sense. You would finish work at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, do half a day. I worked in a school at the time. And then you drive to Plymouth. You've got a 5.5 hour, 6 hour drive to Plymouth. You referee the game at Plymouth. You set off home at 11 o'clock at night. You get home at 4:30 in the morning, and you're up for work again at 6:30. And that's tough. This is not and you paid okay for games in the Football League, but this is not £100,000 a week like players can get in the Premier League. So the luxury in the Premier League was that it was professional. So I would go overnight 99% of the times for a Saturday game, because I just think it's nice to be in the hotel, just relax the night before. Some of the lads would stay so you could have a meal together. I would always get up and have breakfast at a particular time. I'd always have breakfast. I'd go down there and meet at 9:30. If the lads had stayed over, they were welcome to join, but didn't have to. There was never forced to do that. And then we'd meet at 11 o'clock in the meeting room at the hotel. We'd talk about things that we've discussed during the week, things that we've learned about the teams. And then around 12 o'clock, we'd jump in people carrier and take us to the ground. These are Premier League games. Obviously, Football League slightly different. You would drive yourself to the stadium.
Yeah.
But you get there, you'd have a security briefing before the game with the police, with the stadium managers, any issues that's going to happen. You'd meet the captains 75 minutes before the game. They'd come in with the manager generally. And it's not about telling them this is how I'm going to referee and this is, they know you. There's only 20 teams in the Premier League. You come across them a lot, across the captains a lot. It's basically just getting any messages from security that need to be passed on to the teams. And any of my messages, to work with me, don't work against me. And, not to throw your arms in the air and tell your lads, if you do that, it's going to be a really cheap yellow card. And if you ask me the question, I'll give you the answer. It's throwing your arms at me and asking, because they'll be accompanied with a yellow card. So, and then it's just basically prep, get your head ready for the game, go out and warm up and ref it. I like my changing room to be a nice atmosphere. I have music on there. I ask the assistants during the week to pick 3 tracks each that I can stick on a playlist so that we've all got a little bit of our own music. And I just try and make it relaxing, because there is a lot of pressure refereeing on Premier League games. It isn't like going out on a Parks game. And you've got to get yourself into that calmest, most focused mindset that you possibly can, whilst being aware that other people around you are also trying to do that. And some are very different in how they do it. Some will bounce around and be dead excited.
Yeah.
You can't tell them to calm down, because that's their style. That's what they want to do. There are other guys who will sit there and just look petrified, but they're not. They're just focusing. So again, all these dynamics happening. Ultimately, what you need is those 3 guys in that changing room to look at you and trust that you're going to lead that team properly. So it's an interesting environment in a ref's room before a game, and it can be a little bit nerve-wracking in there at times. So yeah, it's certainly a strange experience. Most of us just want to get out on the pitch and do it, because once you're on the pitch, any thoughts about what could happen, is this going to happen, all that disappears. You're just refereeing a game. Then it is like a Parks game. It is just 11v11 then.